Okay, let's see. Okay, I think we're going on here. KD is KD. I don't even know if KD's frozen. But
Huh?
let's
I know.
let's
I'm
switch
nope.
this
All
around.
right here.
I think we need to put Sean in the middle. KD, hold on, hold on. I gotta put
Oh, that's all right. We'll get a little
le,
cream going on in there. That
legit.
works.
Boom.
Let 'em- there you
Legitimate,
go.
Do
legitimate
you want
There
to
you
organ.
go.
double stuff?
Double. Oh, double. Oh boy. Listen, this is not OnlyFans. We don't need double stuffed.
Woo! Okay.
Okay, yeah, listen. Okay, it's finally Friday for everyone out there. And we are getting into this. Welcome to the Who Moved My Freedom podcast, everyone out there. We're glad to have you. We're doing this live on Utreon so we could put our clappers in the air. We could throw up some gun clappers here for you guys because we're on Utreon. So if you're watching this later on other places that shall not be mentioned, and you want to see it live and actually hang out with us, go on to Utreon. Or even if you're listening to it on audio and you want to, you want to watch this, I would say to you guys, go on to Utreon. That's the place to go so that you can do all that. And while you're here, hit the arrow ups under the title. That's what you do so that you can comment and everything along with us. Make sure you check out hankstrange.com as well. That's the website. I don't know, Lola, you have to let me know if we've got the new website up or not. We're switching over right now as we speak to a streamlined, awesome website that we've been working on for a while. With our friends from 2A Gun Show. We'll talk about all that. But go over there. You'll find all the different ways to follow us, support us. All that kind of stuff is over there. Big shout out to TUSC right there. TUSC Firearms Crypto for sponsoring the podcast. We really appreciate those guys. Let me load up everyone in here. There's Kevin. And notice this. I said this before we started. The NOC is getting progressively bigger and there will be a whole beanie that it will just be NOC all over the damn beanie. By the next
Oh man.
by the next time by the next time Kevin is up here. I'm not making that up. Just you guys could tell me in the chat or not. That NOC keeps getting bigger. We
Right.
we all
It's not getting bigger. It's just the material that it's on. See, this is a beanie. You can't have it all tiny in the middle because then you wouldn't be able to see it, right? You want to have a
Kevin,
little surface. You don't have a brim.
your NOC was originally the size of that circle in the middle, the O.
Yeah, and people couldn't appreciate the greatness.
Oh my
So I
lord.
had to
Yeah.
expand and expound
Right,
on
okay. Yeah, we also have Sean Curtis here for Pew Pew Tactical joining us. Your Pew Pew is not big enough, Sean.
What can I do?
You can't. It's not. You gotta stretch it out. Yeah, stretch it out. Yeah. Okay. There you go. All right. So listen. Let's get this kicked off right now. I'm gonna kick off the open. Let's do this.
Welcome back to the Hank Strange
And welcome back here to the show. Hit the subscribe, thumbs ups, ring the bell, arrows up, all that kind of good stuff. Let me ring the bell right now. We are live. There you go. We got to do the jazz hands also. Let's see the jazz hands in the air. It's finally Friday here. We're live. We can show guns. You guys can show guns whenever you want to because it's Friday. Well, every day now we can show guns. I hope you guys have your big girl panties on. This is episode 842 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. Like I said, my guests are Sean Curtis. Let me go to him right there. Look at that handsome, look at that. That's like so classy, man. I don't know. So classy that bow that you just did there, It's almost like,
I tried.
yeah, imperial, almost
I
imperial.
think this stuff for you, Hank.
Yeah, right. Okay, sure. Right. We also have so Sean's coming from Pew Pew Tactical, as we've mentioned here before. And you guys have been on together before. We also have Kevin Dixie of No Other Choice, NOC, joining us.
Yep. Good to be here. Glad to be back with the peoples after a while. And yeah, me and Sean have hung out a couple of times, and it's good to be back with the folks. Everybody but Hank.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, that was quick.
Yeah,
You started in with the logo, man. I was minding my own business.
I'm not lying. I just observe what's happening in the world around me, and that NOC is progressively getting bigger. That's all I'm saying. And it's true. All he does is go to his graphic guy and go, I think the NOC is not big enough. And he's just laughing because he knows it's true.
Yeah, kind of.
Exactly. I know exactly what's going. What's up with you guys? What's up? What's going on? Who's going for Oak there? Kevin's blazing
Yeah,
in
and
on
I'll jump in. Kevin just took a
Yeah, go
drag
ahead, Sean.
there.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's been a pretty big transition in my life. Recently left law enforcement and came on full time with PP Tactical, and actually moved to Texas.
Holy moly! So okay, yeah. So you are a Texan now, because that's where Pew Pew Tactical is, right?
Right. Yeah. The
Mm-hmm.
headquarters moved over here, and we're able to enjoy a lot more NFA type items and other restricted, otherwise California items that we couldn't normally enjoy. So life is good, man. Life is good.
How does
Really
freedom
well.
feel to you? You were in California before. I forgot that.
I wasn't in California.
No.
I was in Colorado.
Oh, Colorado. Yeah. You were in Colorado.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The boss was in California. Colorado wasn't too bad. It was a little bit restrictive, but it kind of heads in the wrong direction, like with the magazine bans and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It feels good, man. I'll tell you a funny story. You got to move somewhere. You got to get set up with a new doctor, new dentist, new everybody to take care of your aging needs. And it's funny, when I first showed up, I forgot that I'm just always carrying concealed, right? And the lady was like, "Sir, we're going to need to have to take your shirt off, please." And I said, "Ma'am, I don't want to alarm you. I'm a retired peace officer, and I am carrying concealed." She looked at me like,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
took
This
the
is
shirt off
Texas.
and
You're in
looked me up
Texas.
and said, "This is Texas. What think you're special or something? Everybody carries concealed around here."
Yeah. That happens to me here in Florida, and no one has ever commented to me. Like, I've gone to see my doctor and have my gun on me or whatever. They don't, I don't. I'm now, like, I live in the place where I'm going to my doctor's office is pretty liberal for Florida. But at the end of the day, what can they do? I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable either, but
Right.
a lot of folks are gun folks, regardless of what side of the aisle they're on in places like this. So.
It is pretty interesting because, especially here in Austin, Austin is like a liberal bastion within Texas. So you do run into a little bit more of the other side of things. But yeah, it's still Texas. I mean, at its root, a lot of folks have guns, and a lot of folks are not adverse to carrying them.
Yeah. 42 Chilled, I think it said this. He says, "Did she show you hers?"
Not yet, but I've got another appointment, so maybe I'll ask next time.
Yeah. Like, I know my dentist, she's a gun chick. There's a lot of people in Florida, man, regardless of where they're from. But you know what? I understand how that is, It happens.
Yeah.
So what's up with you, Kevin? Is Kevin Dixon? Where?
Yeah,
Dixie,
I'm here.
Dixie,
I'm right here. Like, first of all, I would be remiss, and I'm not going to be remiss because it's a big thing. Hey, brother, congratulations on your retirement. All right, that's no small feat, or it's just switching over and doing something totally different. I know what it's like to walk in and do something every day, and then all of a sudden you switch up, man. So blessings to you, and I hope it brings you peace and prosperity in your life.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I know you've been there too, so I really appreciate that.
Not a problem, sir. As far as I go, I don't know. I'm not quite. I can't really tell everybody the great thing that's happening. I could maybe in January, February. Right now, I can't talk about it. But I just been out working on training. My focus now is really training, continuous education, and health. Recently, the cool thing I've done was start changing up my curriculum. Just to always step it up. Every 6 months or so, I'm really getting there and fine tuning things, and I get really excited about it. So the training from No Other Choice next year is going to be even better. And I just left Glock. I've spent 16 hours, 2 days over there at Glock HQ, which is not too far from my house. Went over there and went through an MOS operator course with Glock's managing instructor, Mr. Scotty Banks, and a new instructor, Chad McIntyre from Springfield and Missouri, and we just got it in. So I'm hot off the press with the guns and the red dots, and Feeling good, man. Feeling good. I'm feeling real
Yeah.
good. And they're running
Did
running
you
around
did
with
you
some
mention
feds and
did
some
you
people.
mention to them over there that you're a HK VP9 guy?
Okay, first of all,
Or
first first of all,
I wish
first
I
of all,
would have known about this so
hey,
I
look,
could
look, hey,
so I could
hey. First of all, I'm in a building full of people that know how to shoot, so I'm gonna watch my mouth. Okay, I'm gonna watch my mouth. No, everybody they know I like the HK, but I'm not a Glock hater. I think that's where it came from. Like it's something about if you like HK, you automatically hate Glocks. It must be a thing I'm not really familiar with. But no, man, I like Glocks. They're reliable. Matter of fact, the first time I said I don't like Glocks is I said I don't like them because they're too predictable.
Mhm.
They're the standard. There's really nothing to really flex off of them. I wanted to
Mhm.
try something new, have a different
Yeah.
opinion because they are just what they are, right? They're
Mhm.
the standard, and you build from there. But no, I like them. Yeah, but no, I didn't.
You
I
didn't
didn't. I
mention
didn't. I
this. You
didn't.
didn't mention this. You
I,
didn't.
no,
Did
I
you
didn't talk
wear an
about that.
HK shirt when you went there?
Look, no. Okay, no. I wore an NOC shirt. You should have seen the size of that logo, right? I wore an NOC shirt, and then I humbly walked out on the range and did my thing. But no, I definitely didn't wear no other gun paraphernalia. Right? Hell no, not in Glock. No sir.
Every gun guy, I think, like I always say every gun guy should own a high point, which I believe in that. Like that's easy.
Agreed.
It's easy to get a high point. You should have a Glock too. I'm sure you got some Glocks, right? You own some Glocks.
Who me?
Yeah, I thought, yeah, you at
Oh
least own,
yeah, hell yeah.
yeah.
Like without even saying I own a lot of them, I got one on my hip and one sitting right next to me. Yeah, I got.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sean, you're a Glock guy, right? Or are you?
Yeah, I love Glock.
Mhm.
I carried them on duty. I used them for years. I recently switched to Walther.
Ah,
Yeah,
man, you know what? You know what?
I love
Usually I say people named Sean are terrible, which is true. This is like a known fact.
okay.
Anyone named Sean is terrible. All the Seans of the world. This is how you ruin your babies. But no, okay, we'll talk about that later. But no, so you switched over to Walther. So have I, by the way.
Yeah,
What are you rocking? What are you rocking from Walther?
I was lucky enough to go to the PDP release out
Hmm.
in Illinois last year, and got to train with the Walther Defense Division. So Scott Jedlinski and Bill Blowers, bunch of Tatiana Whitlock, like high caliber folks who really came together and ran us through the paces with that gun. And it's not like your typical event where you might just show up and shoot a bunch of ammo and kind of collect your feelings, like
Hmm.
how you reacted to that gun. No, we were shooting. We were shooting with night vision. We were shooting in the rain, in the mud. We were doing different drills. Tatiana had us doing like tactical yoga and shooting from the most ridiculous positions. But what we ultimately learned is how well that gun performs, and I really appreciated that. And in fact, my last year, I switched to the Walther PDP and carried that
Oh,
exclusively.
yeah. I think Walter's got cool stuff. When I first got into this, Walter's always looked a little bit funny, but always felt really good in the hands. What are you? What are you? What are you? What's that over there?
I'm just showing. It's hard to see because of the light. I'm trying to see which way the camera is. Can't really see that.
Oh, there
That's
you
a
go.
Glock mug. Look at
Look
that.
at that. Yeah,
It's a
19.
Glock
I
mug.
see
You
the
would
1986 right there. Right. Yeah.
right here.
Yeah. You
Where's
got
it? Where'd it
no.
go? Is it
Go
over
over
here?
that. Right. Yeah.
There it
Right
is.
there. There you
Bam.
go.
See that?
Look at that's a big flex right there.
I'm just saying.
Got the thermos. Got the thermos. Yeah.
Now, I did. I am very, very curious. I have not shot that particular Walther yet. I did talk to the guys at Walther on Hank's recommendation, but I guess they're not having problems selling guns. They're having problems keeping guns. So I
Oh
haven't been able
yeah.
to get my hands on one.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to get my hands on one and really give him a run for his money and see what's up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what I carry right here, man. PPS. Oh, hold on. Let me see if I can go full. I mean, this is what I carry all the time right here.
There
PPS
you go.
M2 right there. You know, and so like I'll just say this to everyone. Walther does sponsor the podcast, right? So and they've done that for a few years, but they never put any pressure on me. I was carrying a Glock 43 for a long time, but they never put any pressure. I took my time, figured out what I wanted to replace that 43, and I've tried out a bunch of other Walthers in the past. I own several Walthers, including the PDP, which is freaking awesome. But the PPSM2 was awesome for me, man. I really enjoy this, so I enjoy the ergonomics of it. What you got there, Sean?
Yeah, that's the same for me, man. It's
Mm-hmm.
the ergonomics. Glock is awesome. It's reliable as hell, super accurate, and I've always enjoyed it. But when I put my hand on that Walther, the grip just immediately was impressive
Yeah.
for me.
Right.
I have
Someone's
really
what
big
is?
hands, so I struggle with
Yeah.
slide bite and some other issues. But
Mm-hmm.
man, when I put my hand on that Walther, like the first thing we did was zero at 12 yards, and I shot a 1-inch group, and I didn't have to adjust my grip, and I was really tickled about that. And things just improved from there, man. We got in with Scott Jedlinski, and he really ran us through our paces, and I was just impressed with everything. But the biggest takeaway, like if you hold the accuracy on par with Glock, if you hold the reliability on par with Glock, which I think is saying quite a lot, because like Kevin said, they're the standard, and that's absolutely true. The ergonomics was really where they kind of stepped above Glock for me.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing, and I'm not trying to say that in a way to knock Glock or anything like that. I mean, I've not gotten rid of any of my Glocks.
No, me either. And I have a bunch.
Yeah, and I have no plans. I have no plans to. But yeah, I think the ergonomics is a different thing. But Glock is kind of like a universal thing, and it's not the highest. It's not the most expensive handgun out there either. So we've got a lot of cool options. 42 Chilled says Q5SF. That's awesome. I don't have one of those. I always Walther makes some sexy guns out there.
Yeah.
Um, Michael Avon says I've never owned a Walther but would like to check them out. I've seen Coleon Noir doing some stuff with the PPKs lately. I don't know if you guys like he was showing the PPK, like the black one. Let me see if I could pull that up somewhere. And he was talking about like what kind of grip should you get? Let me see if I could find. I was just telling Lola that I would really like to get one of those. PPKs. We're talking like that's the James Bond gun right there, Kevin Dixie. I don't know if you have
Hmm.
you probably don't have. Do you have one of those? I don't know if you have
No,
one yet.
I
Yeah.
have the Bursa version of it, but I don't have one of those.
Yeah. So right here, this is from Noir's Instagram right here, and let me see if I can go bigger on this for you guys. I will go right into it here. Let's see. I gotta take this out. Okay, boom. So check that out. So he's showing the wood grips. I want to see what you guys think. So this is black for everyone listening. This one's finished in black, and so there's wood grips. Oh, and then actually, he's showing the stainless with the. I guess that's maybe like a G5 type of grip. I don't know which one you guys think looks better. I like the wood grips, the black with the wood grips.
Yeah, I think I do too.
That's what. Yeah,
That's good
that's
looking.
yeah. That's what I think is the sexy one, from my opinion. I personally would go for that. So I think Christmas list right there. If anyone out there is asking themselves what they should get for Hank Strange for Christmas, I have other things I could put on that list. Do you guys have Christmas wish lists when it comes to guns?
Hmm.
What's
Mm.
Come on? What's the top? What's the top of your list? Even the folks out there, let us know what's the top of you guys'
Oh,
list.
that's not like the gun. Like, are we talking about within reason, or are you just like whatever? We talking about something you can get out of a store?
Let's do two. Let's do two. One ridiculous and one within reason. That if your significant other is looking at this, or someone who just thinks you're real super sexy, and they want to take care of you for Christmas, but they're not related to you, they could get this and make you happy.
Dream gun would
Mm-hmm.
be one of the first 100 select fire MP5s.
Oh my gosh, what is that? That's got to be like, yeah, that's got to be money.
I mean, it's going to be well over 100 grand,
Mm-hmm.
easy.
Let's say,
If somebody will even come off of it, if they'll even sell it, because
Mm-hmm.
those are with all the the VPs
Mm-hmm.
and the
Mm-hmm.
well-to-do people, if
Yeah.
they'll even sell it, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what I would want. I want one of
That's
the
nice.
first 100 off the line select fire MP5s.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, that would be my dream, like gun. Bring that home. Uh, Out the store gun. I'm gonna have to go with this gun because every time I look at it and I can buy it even at dealer cost, and I never pull the trigger. But I'm gonna go with the. I think I'm gonna go with the Scar. I don't know if it'll be the 17 or the 20, but one of them. I'm gonna go
Mm.
with the Scar. I just never actually pull the trigger and buy it.
Okay, but you have
Somebody else
shot.
need to do that.
You have shot. You have shot scars though, right?
Oh, absolutely. I just don't buy them. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think the scar's nice. The scar's nice. Yeah, I don't have one. I don't have one either. I'm probably in the same boat as you. I have not pulled the trigger and bought one yet, but that's a nice gun I would like to have in my collection. And then Lola said that that's very specific with the so
Mhm.
far as the MP5, but that's still a
Yeah.
good choice. That's still a good choice. Sean, what you got? What would be your two things there?
man, it's tough. For the dream gun, I don't know. I still lean toward like a Barrett or a Macmillan or
Mm,
something like that, like a 50 cal, something long range, maybe even a 338. Just a long range. I think that fits the bill when you're spending anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000 for a gun that can shoot a mile or so.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the bipod and glass and everything that's required to make that work.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that whole setup could get very expensive. That
yeah,
could get very
yeah,
expensive.
that would be a pretty big Santa Claus present. But
Mm-hmm.
for real world, man, my cup runneth over right now. I'm doing really well. I'm happy about pretty much everything that I've been exposed to recently. Um, But I think too, maybe like the Daniel Defense Delta 5, the Pro version that they have out there. I'd like to check that out. I love I've got a Delta 5 now and absolutely adore that gun.
What
But
is what is that the bolt action from Daniel Defense?
mhm.
Oh. Oh, I have not shot. How is that? It's nice.
Man, I reviewed it for Police One a couple years ago
Mm-hmm.
and had a great time with it. I put it in the safe after I cleaned it,
Mm-hmm.
and probably a year and a half went by. I threw it in the case, drove out to Grinnell, Iowa,
Mm-hmm.
and spent time with our friends at Barnauls and shot some video for ARFCOM out there.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled it out of the case, dusted it off, put some rounds in it, and shot a 3/4 inch group.
Mm-hmm.
It's an outstanding rifle, and it is really good. I dig it.
Yeah, for anyone who is interested, let me throw that up here. So, which one do you have? Do you have the 6.5 Creedmoor one or
Yeah, it's a
308?
6.5 Creedmoor, and it is a smoker. I love that gun.
Oh, that's yeah. Okay. Out of stock right now, but what is it? Like 1800? And you
Yeah.
could get it. You could get it. So anyone who wants to get that for me, Kevin, Dixie, and Sean,
Mhm.
you can finance it for $89 a month.
And there's a pro version now. There's one that's like even a little bit higher up than this one. It's got a different chassis to it.
Oh,
So
pro version, huh?
yeah, it's even more hot than that.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Let me put in pro here on my search and see if I can come up with that. What's the difference with the pro version? Delta 5.
Like I said, it's just got a different chassis, and
Oh, I see. Oh yeah.
yeah, bring that sexiness up. That one can get it right there.
Oh, Kevin, are you seeing this right here?
That is. Yeah, that's a sexy looking chassis. Tell you
You
that.
know what? How
Yeah,
many different colors? That's a nice color right there. I like the OD green. Let me see.
MDC level
That's
chassis
like a
with
grayish.
their bolt action pattern gun. It's
That's nice.
outstanding.
What oh, how much is the pro one?
I'm not sure. I haven't priced.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't see it right here. That's why I'm asking. I don't see them.
Yeah, look at that though. Half-inch MOA guarantee. That's pretty outstanding, man.
Hold on, I'm gonna have to hit shop in order to find out how much it is. Oh, that's like 2,500. That's
Okay.
2,500. That's not too.
Mm.
That's really not too bad though for
For
what you're.
half-inch MOA, that's not bad.
No, that's not too. I mean, because you're getting like, um, a custom stock. Really, it's a whole bunch of things. It looks like they changed from that, from
Yeah,
the regular version. The
very
stock, the colors.
tunable.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you want
See,
to
the
pick
only
it
thing
up,
bad about long guns like that, and for anybody out there that might get into the long gun game, maybe you
Mhm.
want to have fun, go plink with some friends, or maybe get a new hobby. Let me tell you something. When you pick up a long gun, say $2,500, I'm gonna need you at minimum to budget that $2,500 in glass minimum. All
yeah,
right. So don't think that you're gonna buy a long gun and then go get some Nikon $179 optic out the case at Cabela's and all of a sudden start running that gun. I've
Oh.
seen so many people do it. You stop. For the love of God, stop
600.
doing that.
600 is decent.
yeah.
I'm
What?
that dude. I'm that dude right here.
No. You got to
Well,
go
no,
spend some money on some guy. You get a gun like that. You get a 6.5. I mean, a 6.5 Creedmoor out of a chassis like that. Anyway, you can push a mile easy, right? So you're gonna need some.
Yeah,
You're
but
gonna need some glass to really complement that. You go spend $600 on a piece of glass that easily lets you see and calculate a mile. You let me know. With
well,
clear
yeah, no,
no,
I
no,
would,
quality,
no.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
like to
there's no
look
way you're
at it.
Voltage
getting that.
zero.
Yeah, no.
Hey,
You
I
might.
took
see,
a
see
scope rifle class
Mm,
taught by a former SEAL sniper named
mm,
Mark Hodley out in Colorado, and that was the one thing that he said is it doesn't matter to some degree if you get a decent manufacturer of a rifle, then go ahead and get it, but you got to consider that your glass is going to be the biggest component that is going to help you be successful. So add really good glass to your rifle, even more than you would spend for your rifle, and
Mhm.
consider that a formula for success.
okay, let's do a poll right now of the people and see where the people are at. Do you do at least as what the gun costs on this kind of gun? Not every gun necessarily. I don't know if these guys are saying that, but definitely this type of gun, and also in the circumstances that KD is saying that you're trying to reach out maximum to a mile. Is it like at least the same amount of money you spend on the rifle, or is it a fraction of that? Let us know which one you are. Which, at least that same money or a fraction. I'm in the fraction camp, but I'm not doing it like on a professional level like that. But I'm gonna start at a fraction cap. Now, probably for that, 600 is not gonna be good enough. You might have to spend 12, 1,500. I think, pushing it out a little bit. You know. If you go in a mile, I don't know. I'm not really gonna be trying to shoot that thing a mile on a regular basis.
Hey, let me tell you something.
But
You find somewhere to shoot a mile. You'll do it on a regular basis. That is such a different feel. Like when you can just lay there for 5 hours, and because you might only shoot, I don't know, it depends on how dialed in you are. You might only shoot,
mm-hmm,
I don't know, 20, 30 rounds, maybe 40 if you're having a real good time. But man, being able to actually see the trace of that round head
mm-hmm.
out there, and just a different. It's a different experience. It really is. It's like I tell, my polite argument has always been once you've been, doing defensive shooting or get your hands on a lot of pistols and, 16-inch guns, and you do all that stuff for a while, there's really, outside of shotguns and stuff, there's only really two places you can truly go. That's long range or night vision.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it costs to play in those worlds, baby.
Yeah, I mean, what I was gonna say to that is, if you're really gonna shoot on a regular basis at a mile, the Daniel Defense is probably not where you're going. You're probably going for a gun that's at least somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000, like entry level.
Probably,
To be honest,
now think
yeah,
about the glass.
yeah. Well,
Because I want to think
now
about the
I'm gonna say in that realm I'll be around $2,000, maybe 2,500. I have philosophical issues.
You just can't spend it, huh, Hank? I'm trying to
But
find the thing
listen,
again. I wonder
but
where.
it's always worth it to spend good money on your mounts and stuff like that. I think you can't go wrong
Yes.
spending good. You guts to do
So
that. Yeah.
I have some particular experience here that I'd like to share
Mm-hmm.
with you, Hank. That
Mm-hmm.
was I was lucky enough to go to Steiner in Greeley, Colorado, and build a T5XI scope, and this thing is it is amazing. What I didn't realize was I would have to go through and into a clean room, right? So I had to put on a smock and a hairnet. I know that's funny because I don't have any hair, but I went into this room and I had to walk through like the sticky shoe cleaning thing and then spend the best part of a day assembling the scope. And I was led through the process by all of these ladies that
what company is it? Sorry, I want to pull it up. Huh?
Steiner.
Oh, Steiner. Okay, that name
So
sounds expensive.
Oh yeah, hell
T5,
yeah, Steiner. Woo, Steiner, anything.
Yeah. P5X5.
T5XI.
P5XI. Okay, cool.
And
So yeah,
there's
we
a
could.
few magnifications. Go for the biggest one.
Okay, so
Um,
I'm pulling that up here on the
It is
side.
expensive.
there are, and this may surprise you, but
Uh
there
huh.
are 10 lenses in that scope. There are 10 pieces of
Wait, that's
glass
not even coming up right
go into
here.
that scope.
Uh huh.
And we
Oh,
actually
Steiner's making a bunch of stuff.
assembled that thing from the base and had to clean each of those lenses.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how many times I cleaned them, I wasn't doing them satisfactorily. And ultimately, the scope that I built, we assembled it, we tested it on the impact simulator, and then went out and shot it on some Tika 308s out to 1,200 yards. And
Ooh, the price just came up. Ooh, okay.
it was an amazing experience, but it made me appreciate why that price might be the way it is.
Yeah, that's like $3,000. I don't know if I got even the. This is I'm looking at the 1 to 5 by 24, so that's not
Oh yeah,
even.
You looking at? You ain't even looking at the. Is that? That's not the.
Yeah,
That can't be the
no,
big
that's
boy.
not. No, that's not the big boy. Let me see if I could. How to? What thing would that be? What would
I
the
want to
thing
say
on it?
it's by 56. It's something pretty ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. I gotta go look at all their stuff. Oh my, yeah. If
I'm gonna
that
try to
one,
pull it up.
if that one is $3,000, I don't think I want to know. I don't think I want to know what the other ones are.
It's the 5 to 25 by 56.
5 to 25 by 56. Okay, hold on. Yeah, let's see if we could find that here.
And the thing of it is, it's an amazing optic. Even though my inaccurate hands assembled that thing, I saw how much effort everyone puts into those, and it made me realize what a quality product they have going out the door and why it's so time intensive. I mean, they have to pay people to build those things, and there is a small shop in Greeley, Colorado, with a room full of smock wearing, hairnet wearing people who walk across sticky tape to go into a clean room and assemble that baby so that you can go out and make your shot.
Oh yeah, that's
It's
between.
2,600 bucks.
Yeah, it says here between 3,000 and 4,600, depending on which one you get. That's on
Yeah,
Steiner, so
I guess
obviously,
probably depends on mine or model. Yeah.
yeah, depends on the one that you're getting. I mean, jeez. Okay. Mm.
Hey man,
Yeah, you know
I got
what?
a
I don't need
wonderful.
to shoot at a mile. I don't need to shoot at a mile. I'm good. I can do
I
half a
think
mile. I can do half a
there,
mile. I'm good with half a mile.
I
Mount
got
that
one of their
bad boy
1 to 4s.
22 and
How much
see
that
what
thing costs?
Yeah, a half a mile's good with me. Just reduce your distance. Reduce your distance. I do have one of those. I have one of those bolt action 6.5 Creedmoors, but not like the Daniel Defense one looks kind of nice.
So I have
Man.
this guy from Steiner, right? I don't
Hold
know
on,
if
let
you
me
can see
see.
it. So I have this one. Try
Yeah,
to
your
back
light
up a
is
little
super
bit.
bright. Yeah, go closer. Actually,
Go
go
closer.
Is
closer.
that the
There
1 to
you go.
4 or
Okay.
the 1 to 6? Is that an
Yeah,
LPVO?
and then come over. There you go.
Yeah,
Right there. Right
there
there,
Oh,
it is.
there you go.
Katie. Right
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Come
yeah.
in. Yeah, yeah. So what's the thing on that? What's
1
the
to
distance?
4.
So
1 to 4.
this
Okay.
is a 1 to 24. So this is more for your, your standard rifle, 16-inch gun, 14 and a half,
Mm-hmm.
13, whatever. And this one, this for a 1 to 4 by 24, okay, which is kind of where you're going to start at, is the LVPO. I mean, it's a little bit over $900.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
See, and you wanted to spend $600, Hank, for something to go long range, and this little thing that just goes a couple hundred, 300-400 yards is
yeah,
$1,000.
yeah. I think you
Yeah.
have to ask yourself, like, what range are you really shooting at now? And it really depends on what you're doing. I think if you're getting out into the mountains and going after like those, those whatever mountain,
Longhorn, bighorn sheep.
yeah, mountain goats and all that kind of stuff, I think you probably will be, you probably do want to be effective out to a mile or something like that. It depends on really what kind of hunting you're doing, or even what kind of fighting you think you're going to be doing. I always tell people that think about the distance that you're going to be fighting at. If you're getting, I get into this all the time with people. If you're getting a house to defend, if you're getting a gun to defend your home, like what distance are you going to be shooting at inside your home?
Oh, you'll be
You know.
point shooting, really.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be 10 yards, maybe a little bit more than that, 12, probably less than that. You really want to think about it, and you want to make sure you're good in that distance. and there's obviously other considerations you want to think about. So, but yeah, if you're taking it out, just ask yourself what distance you're going to be hunting at, and if you're one of those dudes, just to get out to the mountains to go after those mountain goats is going to cost you money.
Oh man, you're right about that. But Hank, after a while, there's ethics come into play, and you
Hmm.
can't take a shot out past a certain distance because it's more difficult for you to determine
Hmm.
where your round is going to land, and
Hmm.
can you take that shot? Are you going to harm and injure that animal, or are you going to put it down?
Yeah,
So
that's true.
I think you can't get too crazy with long distance and taking game.
Hmm. Yeah. What are people doing with long distance at a mall like that? Are most people just doing competitions, or what's happening with that?
That's my understanding. I was
Hmm.
at a recent event and was lucky enough to get on a wheeler and or at a wheeler event and get on a McMillan and shoot out to 1,000 yards
Hmm.
with a 50 cal. And holy crap, that was impressive. But even at 1,000 yards, just having that experience of pressing that trigger back and having the world kind of erupt in front of you, feeling the muzzle break and the wash come over you, and then hearing that steel just absolutely scream at the end of that 1,000 yard trip. That was fun, man. That was noteworthy,
Hmm.
and I can't imagine that too many more people would be using it for much other than competition.
Hmm.
Um, Granted that McMillan was the rifle that had the world record for longest distance kill from that Canadian sniper.
Yeah. What is the longest distance? Is that like something like close to 3 miles or something nowadays?
It's
Uh, it's or
ridiculous.
How far is what?
how far is the longest distance that's being held now? Because I know it's been going up real fast. Like
Isn't it by?
over.
I thought a guy from Canada held it.
Yep.
Um,
It is 1,370 yards. Actually, 3,540.
30.
3,540 meters.
So what is that? That's under 2 miles?
I think it's a little bit over
It's a little over.
3,540 meters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be 2.2 miles, slightly over
2.2.
2 miles.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that record is for getting a kill at that distance.
Right.
Oh
From
wow.
a Canadian sniper
Mm.
with a McMillan. And
Okay.
you know,
Oh, I think we Did Sean freeze up there? Okay, he might have frozen up. All right, yeah, KD and I are still here. We'll get him back here in a second. Uh, yeah, that's crazy right there, man. I don't know when you're getting into that level, Kevin Dixie. You
You
know,
know, man, look, I've shot my longest distance that I've shot is a mile and a half. I did
a
it with a
mile and a half.
260 Nosler out in Wyoming,
Mm-hmm.
at the Lucid range out there in Wyoming, and
Mm-hmm.
hit a mile and a half. It was a pretty forgiving target. It was a pretty big target, to be totally honest with you. But
Mm-hmm.
so what I did, and I got my challenge coin, and I was happy, and I got up and I walked away. Get
Mm-hmm.
my damn coin, and I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I, you know, when I, you know, you really have to be out west, and there's some places in the southeast you can, but out west is where you really get that opportunity to do that, man. But I'm gonna tell anybody, if you look, everything within reason, man. Don't go,
Mm-hmm.
you know, getting a second mortgage on your home and all that stuff. Sometimes you just got to maybe just, you know, shoot a buddy's gun. But if
Mm-hmm.
you can get behind and, you know, buy ammo, help them out a little bit. But if you can get behind and start shooting distance, man, I equate distance shooting. I'm trying to see how you feel about this. I equate distance shooting to fishing. It's like it's the fishing of like hunting is a thing, right? Fishing is its own little thing. I don't even know if you call it fishing hunting, but when you shoot long range, you are settled. Nothing's rushed. It is relaxing. It's kind of like when you fish. You throw the rod in there. You kind of, you know, you tinker around. You make sure your bait's hooked right. You relaxed a little bit. You take your time.
Yeah,
Then you go for it. You know, it's an art to it.
it's
That's kind of
cerebral.
what
It's
long distance shooting
relaxing.
is, man. It's
Yeah.
just you're
Mm-hmm.
chilling, you're vibing, you're relaxing, getting your numbers all together, man. Checking the wind. You're definitely not rushing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did Sean freeze again?
I think he's just thinking about the analogy
Yeah,
I
he's
dropped on him.
yeah. You dropped so much knowledge on
That's
Sean right
right.
now. He's frozen
That's
in
right.
position.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's still there. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with your internet over there, but we'll get it worked out.
Laid it on me, man.
Yeah. So what do you think about KD's analogy there?
That's awesome. There is a lot of trial and error. At least I'll say that on my part. There are plenty of people who can go out and have those calculations. They're able to read the wind. They're able to look downrange and see what's happening because you can take into account what's happening in your atmosphere, right? But you have to think about what's happening where you're shooting. And those are two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're shooting that kind of distance,
Mm-hmm.
for me, like I said, there's a lot of trial and error. I'll try something and I'll see how it went. And hopefully you've got a spotter who can give you a read and tell you, okay, you know, try this, try that, and they'll walk you in. But yeah, I like that analogy because it's like fishing. You know, you go out and you might try one hole and try for a little while and it's not working. Maybe you try a different bait, maybe you try a different hole, but it's tough, man. The people who are able to, you know, cold bore, get a shot on distance, that's a skill, man. That is an absolute skill, and investing in that is really impressive.
Yeah, I look at like a lot of the long distance stuff, or even like the night vision. I think like Kevin was talking about. I look at it as like some Thomas Crown Affair stuff, you know. Right now, at
Mm-hmm.
this point in my life, I'm not getting all deep into that just because everything's split up. But I think, you know, in the future, yeah, I'll be, you know, I imagine myself flying out on my private jet somewhere to the mountains. My Rolls Royce, SUV meets me out there. We go off, you know, with my special custom rifle. I'm out shooting at 2 miles or whatever it is.
I like
But
this dream. Yeah,
yeah,
where's this going?
that stuff gets
Okay.
crazy. That stuff gets crazy expensive when you start thinking about. But it's cool. It's fun. It's one of those things when you really get into it. Like you're loading your own ammo. You know, there's all these things that you're doing. Like your gun's probably one off.
Right.
You know, and I'm not knocking it at all. I've met some folks who do that, and it's an awesome thing. But for sure, a lot of money goes into that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the thing
absolutely.
is, though, that there are 1,000 levels between someone who's just starting out and what you just described, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and your price point is going to get you there. What you want to spend, yeah, how much you want to invest in reloading. I think that's the best way to get reliability and know what your bullet weights are. And but there's plenty of good manufacturers out there too. It's just about like anything else, and you can invest as much time and money into it as you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Now Lola's reminding me, I brought up home defense and stuff. She said that you have a thing, you have something that happened with you recently that you wanted to tell us about, Sean. In the regards to home defense, what was that?
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you guys bring up distances in shooting. I was out after I came on with Pew Pew. I had a lot of trips that I went on real quick to run out to different places and take videos and have different experiences and create content, right? So I was in Arizona at Gunsight and having a great time with Crimson Trace and the folks out there. And while I was away, my family was staying at a VRBO because we just moved to Texas and we were trying to find a house to buy so that we could have all of our stuff moved there, right? We actually used pods to gather all of our stuff and store it for us, and then we bought a house and ended up moving into that house later. But in the interim, we were staying at a VRBO. So because I was in Arizona, that
Okay, what's a VRBO?
That's a vacation rental by owner.
Oh, okay,
So
all right.
buy houses and they'll rent them out for a week or a month, whatever you want to do. We rented one for a couple of months.
Okay.
In anticipation of going out and house shopping, basically. So I was in Arizona, and someone came to my door while I was not there and rang the doorbell at like 3 a.m. And it wasn't just a doorbell ring, it was a creepy ring. Now, with all of them,
creepy ring. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to explain that because I know there's a lot of people out there that probably like, what the hell is he talking about? A creepy ring. In Austin, especially in this older neighborhood, there are houses that were built in the 50s, and they have the old electric doorbells. And you can push those doorbells and hold those doorbells in, and they will continue to ring until you let go. So it's more like ding dong. And with the modern doorbells, you don't necessarily get that same tone, right? That was the first clue that something was amiss at our home, right? And then the next night, my wife heard, again, early in the morning, someone pushing the buttons to the keypad, trying to see if they could potentially get the door to unlock. Would have been a bad day for them, right? My wife knows how to defend the home, and she's well armed, as you might imagine. But I was pretty frantic to get home, and that Friday I did. And I came home and I set up shop because I was like, okay, you want to play? Let's do it. And I set up to where, first off, I had the dog stationed out where he was supposed to be. We had just gotten a puppy, and in order to keep her calm and let us sleep through the night, we had put them both back away, out of the way from the front door. And the number one reason we have a dog is to be a deterrent. Right? I mean, they're great family companions, but barking at the door, even Department of Justice statistics will show you that that is one of the main things that you can do to avoid any kind of conflict in your home, especially from a home invasion. So that's the first thing I did, was set that dog up to where he was stationed outside the door. He had to sleep outside the door. The other thing I did was bring my 300 blackout BCM with a Gemtech suppressor and set it up, ready to go with some subs. I have a Trigicon MRO on here, and I friggin' love this AR pistol. It is it's compact, it's amazing.
Yeah, it looks short and light.
Yeah.
Right.
So the
yeah.
great thing was I was ready to go. And so what happened next was kind of a consideration. Now you have to think about, sure, I was in law enforcement for 22 years, and one of the things that really shaped me was working at a DA's office for the last 7.5, right? So I actually looked at cases where people defended themselves, where officers used force, and we analyzed those cases and looked at them to determine whether they met with the laws, right? Uh, I set up a big heavy toolbox just inside the door so that when the door went open, someone would probably trip on said big heavy toolbox and fall to the floor, whereupon I could fill them with freedom seats.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought about that, and I thought, tactically, that's extremely advantageous. But is it the right thing to do? Is it defensible in a court of law after the fact? And here's what I came away with. Kevin, let me know what your thoughts are on this. That might not be the optimal position. Now, granted, I am within my home. I have castle doctrine at my back. I have my family with me, and I have really no reason to flee the house versus avoiding a conflict, right? So what I did is, instead of potentially tripping up someone who wanted to come into the house, I pushed that toolbox all the way up against the door. And I made it even that much more difficult for someone to come in. And I felt like, okay, if you kick that door and you break the door jamb and you push through a big heavy toolbox that I have purposely positioned in front of that door, then I can wad you up very comfortably and not feel bad about it one bit.
Okay.
Tripping someone might be a great tactical advantage, and that might be, that would be a really bad day for you if you came in and experienced that situation. But I wanted to do something that, number one, would avoid the issue if I possibly could, and then two, also prove that I did everything that I felt I reasonably could have to avoid that situation in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sure that there are people out there who probably think, if someone messes around my door, maybe I'll sneak out the back and catch them the other side. Sure, I could have done that too. But is that defensible later? And it's not. It's not complete. And here's what happened. We went to bed, and I had everything ready to go. And at 12:30, that dog went apeshit. I mean, he started barking and raising all kinds of hell by the door. And man, I flew out of bed and grabbed up the gun and posted, and I was ready to go, man. I mean, I was ready to light it up. And thankfully, that person made a decision, especially when they heard the dog, and they ran. They took off, and they didn't come back that night.
Okay.
And avoided successfully that entire situation and did not have to use force. And I was happy about that. A lot of people think maybe in this scenario, I would do this and I would do that. But man, I'm going to tell you, and please listen to me when I say, from having worked at a prosecutor's office, if you can avoid it, man, that's a win. That is absolutely a win. And so in this situation, I was happy to have scared that person away with my dog and not had to use force against it.
Yeah. Do you think, before I'm going to let Kevin jump in here, I just want to know, so how long ago was that happened?
This was back in July, August, somewhere around there.
Okay, so you haven't had anything since then? No,
we moved out, and what's crazy is everything was set into place, right? Like, we had already purchased a house, and we had hired movers who came in the next day, that weekend, and actually helped us move into our new home that we purchased. So really all we had to do was get through that one night, and we were in good shape. So after that, no issues. We moved to a different neighborhood, and things are very much better. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Kevin?
I think that he thought that through well. Often, so in Missouri, where I'm from, you can't set booby traps. Right. So things like it's small details like that
So
that you
you
have to really be
cannot
careful.
you cannot set booby traps.
You
Just to be
cannot
clear.
set booby
Okay.
traps.
Okay.
You cannot. That'll get you in a lot of trouble. When we have castle doctrine and things like that, but you cannot set booby traps. So I like the way he was thinking through it because you have to. And I'll have to preach to the choir. He worked in a DA's office, so he knows what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
One thing and another thing I want to address, we have to, and Sean said it, but we have to be able to separate these imaginary tactics from real world applicability, right? If we were living in a world with, let's just say, no laws, right? And if you want to creep out the back door while bad dude is looking through your front window and you want to flank him and you want to put, two in his rib cage and one through his ear, cool. In a world with no laws, worst thing you got to worry about is retaliation from his friend. In this world, you do something like that, and there isn't a lot to support what you did, like a whole lot, like a lot. You are going to be able to brag to your friends maybe for 30 seconds before you go to federal penitentiary or the state pen, whichever one you prefer. I don't know what you do, right? So we have to separate this fantasy world of, yeah, bad guy comes, I'm gonna like go through the attic and jump off the window and grab onto the rail of a Black Hawk and come down and pop him in the top of the head and all this crap, man. You somebody ever comes to your house, understand your layout of your home, understand that they have the advantage because they are assaulting your castle, right? But you have the advantage because you should know the layout of the castle better than them. You have the advantage because you should have already set your home up to where it's always advantageous for you, right? And you conduct whatever business needs to be conducted within the laws inside of that home. So you're going to have a whole lot of stuff to think about, tons of things. The last thing you want to have to think about is somebody's going to sit you in a cage while people that are sitting in a box decides what happened to you, right? Like, no. So separate fantasy tactics, movies, what you would do in a world with no laws and no consequences compared to the real world where you have to understand local, state laws. You have to know those. If you're going to carry a gun, man, you need to know the laws. And I don't mean because you sat at the family barbecue and talked about them with your cousin Joe. Like, you really need to know those laws. I've advised people, you're a voter in your county, right? Ask the DA to have a meeting with you. I mean, most of them are elected. So ask them to have a meeting with you and go in. If you're curious about use of force laws, ask them. I will go in and ask my DAs all the time, like, hey, why don't you guys do a seminar on use of force? Because you got people trying to defend themselves in violent cities. They don't even know what they can and cannot do, right? Yeah, I'm not saying you need to go explain the law to them, but you come read the law to them and let them, ask some questions because, you got to be careful about explaining the law to people. So different things like that. But understand those things, man, and hunker down at home, be ready to defend your house. I love the way Sean thought about it. Like, what's going to happen after this? What's going to happen when the pictures come out? What's going to happen when I had, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 seconds to really do my job, make a decision about what to do, but somebody else is going to have 2 to 3 years to evaluate whether I did the right thing. So that's what I think about it.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about the thought process of a potential burglar, right? They probe. They will see what they can get away with until they can't get away with it. And in this thought process, and it's funny that you mentioned that, Kevin. I was born in St. Louis. I'm a Missourian originally myself. And there is case law that came out of St. Louis.
Kevin was clapping for that for St. Louis.
Guy.
Kevin and Nelly, basically.
All around, man. Regardless of their name, Sean or not. There was a case out of St. Louis where a guy knew that someone else was trying to burglarize his home, and he set up a shotgun. And he set it up so well that the gun went off when the burglar broke into his house, and the burglar sued the homeowner and actually won that case.
Yep. I know that case.
So, that should tell you right away. I mean, you can't win for losing, unfortunately, in that scenario. And property is not an defense with which you can actually use lethal force on someone. I know, unfortunately, I come into pockets of this once in a while where people think, oh yeah, someone's stealing my car, I just gas them right there. No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
As terrible as it is, and as bad as you don't want to, and you might think that you're able to stop them because you have a gun, it's not authorized.
That's what's happening with some of the cases that we've seen. M. Avon says, no matter how right you are, your world is going to come to a halt for a long time. Skivvy Waver says, especially when dealing with crooked DAs. And Appalachian Gunrunner says, exactly, it's like the light versus the night vision argument, fantasy in average world situations. What I think is ultimately the question that you're going to be facing with people is whether or not you were defending yourself. And you had to actually defend yourself, right? Versus, like, if you're setting booby traps, then is that, really defending yourself if you're setting booby traps? Or sometimes I think there was a case a couple of years ago where these kids were doing, like, that ding-dong ditch thing, when people ring the doorbell and do stuff. And there was a guy who kids were doing that in the neighborhood, and I guess they did it to him a lot. So these kids came to the door and rang his doorbell, and he shot through the door. I mean, of course, he caught charges after that. I mean,
yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that you got to think about is the level of force that you're using commensurate with, is it justified? Is it reasonable? Would a normal person do that? And unfortunately, or fortunately, however you may think about it, with the training that I've had, with the experience that I've had, that would potentially be used against me. I involved in SWAT many years ago. Yeah, absolutely. They're not going to say, "Oh, that's great." The average
if they could pay
involved in SWAT, they're going to say, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that. That's crazy. I wouldn't have engaged that guy like that."
Yeah, if they could paint a picture of you wanting to kill people, it's a thing. But the reason why the prosecutors do this is because people believe that guys like us buy guns because that's what we want to do.
Right. Fantasy.
Yeah, I remember looking at a Joe Rogan where he was talking about gun guys who have a lot of guns, and it's the one time I remember looking at Joe Rogan that I was like, "What's going on with him?" Because his face, he was like, "Yeah, you could tell that person they want to get a gun, they want to kill someone, they just want someone to mess with them so they could kill them," and that I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but that really shouldn't be us, and I don't think it's us. Most of the folks I know, that's not their intention of having these things so they can, brag about in their life that they did this. But this is what's immediately going to happen. If you look at Rittenhouse, this is what that's about.
Yep.
First of all, you know what the cost of ammo is nowadays? Huh? I am not trying to lose any of that or use it if I don't have to. I think we'll be preaching to the choir saying that that's a false narrative. I think we all know that. One thing that and it kind of ties in together. So, all three of them, right? You look at Kyle, and I'll say this about
my ammo right here. If that even focuses. Look, it's just
there.
You go. I'm not rich like those guys.
It gets focuses when it gets closer to your face. So you might want to have a talk with that round about your relationship.
It might focus somewhere out here. I don't know. Okay, yeah, right.
But when you look at the Rittenhouse case, do I think and then I got two more that I want to kind of tie together. When you look at the Kyle Rittenhouse case, to the day that I die, may the day be long. Kyle should have been found innocent, right? I totally believe that. And then there's a separate thing. There's the parent in me that's like, yo, you need a whooping. Should have had your ass at home, right? Now, doesn't mean you need to go to prison for murder, but just the parent in me is like, carry your ass to the house. What are you doing out here, right? And I know it's a whole discussion about that. However,
the parent in you would still wanted your kid, even if they wound up there. You want your kid to come home. Right?
Because, absolutely. The hindsight being 2020, he shouldn't have been there, But if I don't give a damn, and I equate that to trespassing, right? I'm not saying Kyle was trespassing. What I'm saying is I equate it to trespassing. If let's say I'm trespassing, and what I use is, let's say I'm I'm standing in your front yard, right? We're neighbors. I'm standing in your front yard and we don't like each other. Your dog keeps poo-pooing in my driveway, whatever, right? I don't like you and I'm standing in your front yard and I'm yelling at you. And you say, get off my yard, my lawn. At that time, I am trespassing, right? It's your yard. I'm standing in it. That does not give you the right to go in a house and start charging at me with a baseball bat. And if I got a gun on me, I am going to use that gun, right? Because I don't forfeit my life because you don't think I should have been somewhere that I was at. You just don't. So it doesn't matter whether I think Kyle should have been there or not. He didn't forfeit the right to live, right? So that's the balance in that conversation. But the gun that he had, by having that firearm, and I'm not in the kid's mind, but going from the way that he acted in the videos, and I know people say all these kind of things about him, I'm just looking at some of his demeanor. He was even shocked at the things that were going on. He did what he had to do to make it out the situation. But if you just look at his demeanor, and maybe a lot of people don't study these things. They don't study the human reaction and body alarm response and all those things. They don't study that, so I don't expect them to know. But, it's not a situation he necessarily wanted to be in. Now, hey, in the back of Kyle's mind, could he be laughing at all of us like, oh, I definitely wanted to knock me a couple of people. Sure, but we'll never know, right? He's never going to come out.
He comes across very genuine. When I look at the videos of that guy going after him earlier, it seemed like a prison. You've seen those videos with the kids who go into prison and then the prisoners trying to scare them straight.
Yeah, scare it straight. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me. Like that guy was some kind of prisoner. Just something about this kid almost turned him on. In whatever senses that you want to put that.
He did like kids, so
yeah, but it was
he liked little boys.
Yeah.
So just saying.
It's just really, really one of those things. And to go back to what you were just saying, there was a case recently, and that hasn't gone through court. I don't know if it's even going to go there, but there was a case where a pregnant librarian she got involved in like a road rage thing. So in other words, she was the aggressor. She used her car and bumped a guy on a motorcycle, right? And then left the scene. And the guy on the motorcycle and other witnesses followed her to her home. They didn't go in or anything like that. They followed her there because she left the scene and they were calling the cops. She went home, got a gun, came out with that gun. The guy on the motorcycle defended himself. Like he saw her come out with the gun and he defended himself, and she's gone. And the baby. Right. And that's one of those cases. Like this is, there's lots of things that went wrong there. She used her car as a weapon, hurt someone, left the scene, went home, stay in the house. She came out of the house with a gun when people are just trying to say, hey, you just left this scene where you used your car as a weapon. So yeah, this, when these kind of things happen, now everyone's analyzing what you did. And these, like Kevin said, people are judging you based off of that. And when it gets crazy. And
when you look at the one case that got settled, we're waiting on sentencing. When you look at the McMichaels, right? When you look at that situation, those idiots didn't just pursue someone; they used the gun as a tool of courage. Now, Sean said earlier, his experience can be used against him. And that's why I tell people to watch trials. It's not always about seeing the side you want to win. You should watch them to really see what comes out and really see the way people approach subject matters, right? And when they put Travis McMichael on the stand, Travis McMichael started talking about his law enforcement experience in the Coast Guard, right? And when he started talking about that, he got to talking about how often apparently he was some type of trainer. So we trained guys on it, and he knew all this about de-escalation, and he knew this, and that. And then I peeped one thing that he said. I was like, you're done. The moment he said it, I was like, you're done. He said he used a couple of examples. We don't know if it actually happened or not, where he was in Mississippi during and post-Katrina. And, a couple of guys, when he was off duty, tried to rob him, whatever. And there was a lot of that crap happening during Katrina, sure. And he said that I used the gun as a deterrent. I'm like, you're done. You're done. But see, that's him being cocky, talking about that experience. See, because if I use it and utilize it, well, no one uses a gun. A gun is only used as a deterrent. Think about it. When a cop shows up, right? Gun is in his holster if it's not a, felonious call. Gun's in his holster. He's getting out. The gun's presence is the deterrent, hopefully, right? It's simply because one's there. The cop doesn't have to get out and say, well, I'm going to point this gun at you.
Right.
So you don't think about maybe possibly doing this thing that I don't even know you might have, like, you don't use a gun in that fashion. So when he said that, and then he got to talking about, well, yeah, I was hoping that when I pointed my gun, not, and if you don't know, he pointed a gun at Ahmad twice, not just once.
Mm-hmm.
When I point my gun, I would hope that someone would run away. Now, in a self-defense situation, sure, we'll say that. I hope that if you're attacking me and you're about to stab me and I pull my gun, you drop the knife and you run away, right? But he
Sure.
was like, I just want them to run. I'm like, wasn't he running from you the whole damn time? Ain't that the whole reason why we having this conversation? But his law enforcement experience and what he thought he knew got whipped right back around on him and helped put him in prison, which is where the hell he belongs.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have this case that recently came out. Well, it's not even a case yet. It just happened. I don't know if you guys have seen the video. The guy, I call him the PCC guy, where it was
I haven't looked at the video, but this is the thing where they were up close to each other arguing and all that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a father goes to his ex-lady's or ex-wife's house or whoever she is to him, but they share a child together. So the guy, when the video picks up, the guy is outside of the home talking to an unidentified female, and he's agitated, but he's not belligerent, right? He's pretty upset, but he's not belligerent. And he's saying all these kind of things about custody and where's my son and all these things. And then I guess mom's new boyfriend or new husband, you know, this new romantic involvement, he comes, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds into the video, he comes out the front door with a PCC gun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Comes out the front door. And the guy, I tell people all the time, stop thinking people are scared of guns, because everybody's not scared of a gun.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy actually closes this, the guy that was outside already closed distance with him. And that's when you see these two fools like belly bumping, like this macho
looking at
belly
too many
bumping type of
movies.
thing.
Yeah, because people think movies are real life.
Mm-hmm. And the gun's down to his side. And then shortly thereafter, they're belly bumping and kind of tussling around. The guy with the gun pops one into the porch, right near the guy's foot.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that time, the guys tried to start taking the gun from him. Before he shot at him, he never even went after the gun. So then the guy tries to take the gun. He doesn't succeed. PCC guy backs up about 5 or 6 feet. By about 2 shots, the guy is down. Mm-hmm. And then he goes back up on the porch. The woman recording was with the guy he just shot. And he's like, well, I told you guys to leave. I told you to get out of here. I'm like, yep, you're going to prison. Mm-hmm. Everything that was just the capstone. He never felt threatened. He didn't have a right to come outside with the gun as a deterrent. But the point is, not the legal mumble jumble. The point is, you can't use guns to intimidate people. That's not what we do, right? That is not what we do. If you're kicking doors and you got a gun out on people and you hoping they get down and listen to your commands, that is a whole different set of circumstances and a conversation, right? Mm-hmm. In the civilian world, that is not what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, not with the rule of law. Like you said earlier, you know, there's a difference if we're living in an apocalypse or something like that. Sean, do you want to jump in on this before I do?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Kevin, I might have a little different take on that. This was in Lubbock, and I've looked into it just a little bit, and I'm using the same facts in the same video that you guys have seen. What happens, and I'll depart a little bit from the point where the father grabs the gun from the guy who's there actually on scene. The father is much bigger. He's a much bigger dude, and he grabs and tries to pull the gun, but the guy holding the gun hangs on to it, drops back about 5 feet, and then fires 2. Mm-hmm. And that's when the father goes down. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know, in analyzing, especially law enforcement cases, a lot of other factors that you may not think about will come into play. And one of those is the size of the people involved. Was it a male? Was it a female? Was there an extreme size difference? And I think from the picture, just from the still shots, you can see that the father is quite a bit bigger than the guy who had the rifle. Mm-hmm. I think some other mitigating factors. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a defense attorney, but I worked with several of them over the course of my experience, and I can guarantee you that these are things that they would be bringing up. The father was bigger than the guy who was presumably defending his home, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The guy who was defending his home told the guy to leave. several times. He then went back into the house after the guy did not leave and got the rifle and came back out.
Okay.
Another factor that I think is, and I'm reading a little bit into this just because, my experience with human physiology is it's not what most people would see, but during the confrontation when they were arguing, the father approached the mother at one point and she shrank away. And to me, that tells me that there's probably a history of violence.
Previous, that's going to come into play.
That made her feel intimidated. And so here's one thing that I took away from that. If there was previous history, she would have communicated that with her now husband or now boyfriend, whoever he is, right? So he's going to be aware of that. The guy is there. He's belligerent. Does he have a right to his child? Sure, obviously, right? But in custody type situations, a lot of times when there has been some kind of previous history, what you're going to see is that their exchanges are often handled in controlled environments. Sometimes they have to go to actual places where counselors are there, or at least where adults
neutral ground
can observe the exchange. And the mom kept saying repeatedly, "You're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here." And again, that guy warned him, "You're not supposed to be here. Go away."
So let me just interject this thing. Like, obviously this hasn't gone.
That's a perspective.
Yeah, I think it's a good point that Sean is making, because from my understanding, everyone's making this point on the internet, right? Everyone's like, okay, it looks like he was defending himself, but maybe he wasn't, but maybe he was. This is what happens in court.
I'll guarantee you what's going to happen in court.
Yeah, this is what happens in the legal process.
Brought up.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it, it's not so cut clear. A lot of people will look at it and say, "Oh my God, as soon as they separated, he had no justification to fire that gun." Well, he just got thrown about 3 to 5 feet while the guy was presumably trying to disarm him. And here's something I want you guys both to think about. If you tell someone to get off of your property multiple times, and then you go in because you feel like, holy crap, I don't want to fight this guy. I don't want to run hands with this dude because he's a lot bigger than me and I know about previous history that he has, right? So what do? You go in and you get your equalizer, you come out, and you're like, get out of here. So a reasonable person seeing a gun, you would hope, might say, okay,
well, what? that's so here that's the point I wanted to make. This is the rules of survival. If someone has the drop on you and they're inviting you to walk away, walk away.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's called the law of survival. Someone has the drop on you. You could be the most badass person. You've got a whole bunch of videos where you draw in the blur or whatever, and everyone's amazed by that. If someone has the drop on you and you have the ability to walk away from them, walk away from them. Yeah. Once a person feels under threat, regardless of what the laws are, if a human being feels under threat in any moment, what are they going to do? They're either, it's either fight or flight. You're either going to defend yourself with whatever you have. It's always funny. Like, I've seen people posting these videos online, and I don't know if everyone gets the reason of it. Like, I've seen videos with kids in the streets fighting with each other, and one of them has a gun, and he's shooting people, and people don't walk away from him. Or one of them has, like, an open gun, waving this gun around, and people don't go, maybe I should just get the hell out of here. Right? So that's the first thing. If you want to stay alive, avoid those situations. What do you guys think about that?
And that's my argument in this situation. And it's ultimately a tragedy, right? Everyone should have backed away. The guy who was defending his home should have gone in his home and locked the door. I'm certain that the cops were probably already on the way, right? Then he came out, presented a firearm, and the father didn't back away. He, in fact, used vulgar language and approached and came at the guy who had the gun and said, "You better effing use it," or something like that. So the situation got gasoline poured onto it almost immediately. It resulted in a physical confrontation. And so far, charges have not been filed. So it doesn't mean that there aren't going to be charges, But
It's a lot of
I don't know.
factors. It's a lot of factors that play into that.
A lot of people think.
Yeah. Kevin, what do you think about that whole thing, man? If someone has the drop on you and you have the opportunity to leave, what do you say?
Look, man, I am no other choice, right? No other choice. You see how me and Sean are going back and forth about the particulars?
Mm-hmm.
We're your jury.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? And we get to sit in that room.
Good point.
And we get to, and if I am, let's just say I'm in defense of you, and Sean has 2-3 days to kind of say, well, hold on, man, I want you to look at it this way per the law, right?
That's your
He
life
can
in the
persuade me.
balance. Yeah.
And then, me and him are sitting there, and maybe I'm the hang up, and he's talking to me, he's breaking it down. Maybe I like the sound of his voice, his smooth, bald head, and I go, hey, you know what? Okay, he's kind of got a point. Like, this is the point. We are your jury. We're everyday. Well, John's now a civilian, right? So we're everyday people, and we are the ones that are sitting making this decision for you. So for me, when any time, man, I don't care what the situation is, and when I'm not talking about a random robber, in this type of situation where you can see things escalating, you have all the opportunity in the world to walk away. Dad, you could have. If you had the court issue and you wanted the police involved, you knew the police were coming, guess what? The woman that was recording the video was with the dad. Hey, you could have went back over to the car and just waited for the cops to get there. Hey, guy that came outside. As soon, if nothing else, when he came outside with that gun, right? Hey, guy that came outside with the gun. You could have called her in the house or tell her to run around to the back door, went in the house, call the police and say, hey, now if you come in this house, now we're in a whole different we're in a whole different ball game, right? And let the police handle it. But to me, people, good people out there, and I know we don't see eye to eye on everything, we're not supposed to. What I'm going to say is this: if you ever have the opportunity to see a situation escalating, I need for you to immediately remove yourself the moment you think it could potentially go wrong. Whether you think you're going to win or lose, walk away.
Yeah.
Be done.
Yeah. And I think, even to your point about the woman that was with the guy who wound up losing his life, if you love someone, de-escalate stuff. So maybe they're mad and they're not thinking, they're not in their right mind or frame of mind. De-escalate. We see this so often. I remember when we were talking about the story of the guys who were fighting at the dumpster. Remember this? These guys
one guy had his shirt off.
Yeah, it was like in a trailer park, and they were fighting about putting like a mattress in the dumpster. And the guy who wound up dying, his wife is egging him on. If you love someone, say, hey, you got it. You got it. Just try to talk that person down. Don't talk them into a fight.
Right.
People, I don't think people actually understand what happens when a trigger gets pulled and a bullet, this is not like frickin' Alec Baldwin where you could pretend that you didn't pull the trigger.
Oh my God.
When that trigger gets pulled and that round goes down that barrel, there's nothing you can do in the world to stop it. It's on its way. If you could de-escalate that. It's better to be a punk or whatever it is in your mind that's making you think, but what happens is people aren't thinking. I often tell people that's happened to me where I live, that some guys that are working for me, like this, these are people who live where I live. And they did stuff for us, and like the dad came over there and he was just drunk and carrying on. That's the last thing I wanted to do. Of course, he's on my property. I'm armed. I could do whatever. Why do I want to take out this person that I know his family and that we're neighbors and all of it? To me, it didn't really matter what he said. It didn't my pride is not so valuable to me that I'm going to take out someone just because of what they're saying, And I'm telling you, I didn't do that. And later on, that guy apologized for it. And I just said, hey, you need to control what you're doing. You're getting a little bit, too drunk or whatever and pushing it. But there's, none of that should be happening. And even in that case, if someone's that drunk and crazy, once you start pulling out things and doing things, things aren't backing off. And when we get a perfect storm and everyone rushes into it, someone winds up dead.
Right.
I think what people need to realize is de-escalation should be a part of everybody who carries a gun's curriculum. Period. You should be you should understand how to de-escalate a situation. Sometimes it's really easy. Go the opposite direction. You're done, right?
Yeah.
But and I use this example because it's recent. I was out looking at some property, right? And I got my buddy with me, and we're going in some wooded areas, right? So he's got an AR-15 on his back because we're going into wooded areas, right? Acres and acres of woods. So he's just got an AR-15 on his back. I have two guns on me, but they are concealed. I got one on my hip and I got one in a Victos carry bag, right? A little tactical light fold down AR-15. And we're walking through, and when we were coming out from looking at the property, we got turned around, right? We're wandering this land. We had permission to be on the land. We had that in writing and everything else. And we got turned around, though. There weren't like dividers. So we just wandered onto this guy's property. And we saw this really long driveway and this house at the end. And then there was an opening where you can walk from grass onto the driveway and walk down to the main street, and we could see where we needed to go. That being said, I saw the homeowners coming out of their home, getting in their cars, right? So I'm like, well, this would be really weird just to be walking down their driveway, right? Say if they're already getting in their car, let them, say approach us. I'm gonna wave, show friendly, right? It's daytime, it's bright outside. I'm gonna wave, I'm gonna show friendly, and I'm going to explain myself. And the wife was driving the car. She stopped. I said, "Hey, ma'am," and I'm probably 12 feet from the car, right? I kept the distance. I'm like, "Hey, this is what we were doing. The land's like right here. This is what we were doing. We got turned around. We got lost. I'm sorry that I'm on your property. I did not mean to do that. There's the location we're going to. Your driveway serves as a very easy way to get to that location. If you're okay, I would like to, step onto your driveway and proceed down that path. If you're not okay, fine. I'll go back the opposite direction and we'll try to figure out another route." And so this goes back and forth for a minute. The woman is kind of like, "Okay, that's fine, strange man." I get it, right? But we're lost. I even dropped the property owner's name of the next door to let her know, like, I'm really, like, I'm giving you details that somebody that's looking to rob your house wouldn't know, right? I'm like, "Hey, this is what we're doing, blah, blah, blah." The wife is cool. The wife starts to, the husband, though, the point is he tried to escalate the situation. The husband, after I've talked to the wife, is sitting in the car like, "Well, you need to understand." He's like raising his voice at me, and that's not the thing to do to me. He's raising his voice at me saying, you need to understand you're trespassing. And I said, "Sir, what part of a lost doesn't compute with you, right? Do you think that I want to be having this exchange with you currently?" Because I don't, I can assure you, right? So once again, the wife had already given us permission to step onto the driveway and go about our business, right? The husband is going back and forth. And I said, "Sir, I'm actually done talking to you. We have our permission. You haven't taken that permission back. We're going to go ahead and leave." The wife starts to drive off. She's like, "Stop it," talking to him. "Stop it," trying to escalate the situation. She starts driving down the driveway, maybe doing 5 to 7 miles an hour. This fool is arguing with her. They get about maybe 15 yards from us, and she is still yelling at him. And this fool hops out of the truck, the moving vehicle, right?
Okay.
And by this time, we're actually walking down the driveway. I want to remind you that one of us is open carrying an AR-15. We are walking down the driveway. He jumps out the car, and the first thing he does, as soon as he catches his balance, he digs right, as fast as possible, goes right into his right pocket. Now, just because I am trespassing and I've tried to explain myself doesn't mean you have ownership to my life, right? So I prepared myself to defend myself without presenting any gun. I was prepared, though, right? Positioned myself, got ready. The AR-15 that was visible never budged. It never moved. It stayed on the guy's back. He gets out the car and he sees me move. He gets out the car and he goes in his pocket. He sees me move in a way he didn't understand, so he threw his hands up. Like, that's smart. But then I stay still and he starts walking towards me, closing the gap. You see how he's constantly escalating the situation. That person didn't know what he was standing up against. And that's what I need people to understand. In that situation, you could have went. Your wife already gave us permission. If you didn't like that, curse her out, go off on her, whatever y'all need to do. But as we're walking, I'm fine with you sitting at the end of your driveway watching us. I'm fine with that. And then he did my favorite thing. "Well, if you don't Listen to me. I'm going to call the cops. I did because I'm petty. I was like, sir, just because I'm black don't mean I'm scared of the police. So call the cops. Don't care. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, tell the cops to meet me at the gas station because that's where I'm going, whether you like it or not. Right. And I'm trying to de-escalate the situation by standing still, asking for permission first, explaining myself, standing still, ready to deal with a threat without presenting deadly force, ready to deal with a threat, and still trying to tell him, now you're blocking my pathway to get to where I need to go. Right. But in that situation, he is constantly escalating the situation. And you don't want to be that guy, because what he didn't know is there were 3 guns between these 2 dudes, and both of us are well trained. And here you are, an idiot, jumping out of your vehicle, digging into your pocket, coming towards us. It's not smart, right? Don't do that. Like, de-escalate things at every opportunity. Please, people.
Yeah.
Please. I just want to say that.
I agree with you. This is how we avoid perfect storms. Because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it unless you're backed into that corner. And as Kevin's famous for saying, you don't have any other choice. You're in a corner here. But sometimes, like, for whatever reason, that guy's buttons were pushed, and his wife couldn't calm him down. And I think it's what happened, in that case. And I think it's what happened to Carl Rittenhouse. Those folks' buttons were pushed. I see people saying this here in the chat. I mean, why did, if this situation was going on, why do people have to even go into a situation like that armed? People on both sides were armed. And the people who were responsible for what was happening there in terms of law enforcement was sitting off to the side, So if you look at what happened when they went in there, obviously these people were very mad, and they kept picking on them when we're talking about Rittenhouse, right? And to me, it seems like he was backed into a corner once he got there, and he had to make that choice. When you're looking at the case of these people who someone was stealing stuff from these homes in their neighborhood, if, like, I think we were talking about a house that was under construction, right? So if there's not people living in there, and someone's either stealing something from that house or whatever, if they didn't kill someone or hurt someone, and you're not the cops, right? And even if they're running away from you, I don't know where your responsibility is to chase that person down, and hold them by force. Like, I don't, and most reasonable people are not going to understand that,
No, and as hard as law enforcement has had it over the last year or so to assume that role on your own, without the training, without the backing, without the justification or the legal substantiation.
Indemnity.
I don't know why you would do that.
Man.
Yeah. If you're not if you're not duly deputized law enforcement, you're not indemnified to be there using lethal force against people.
I don't know if you guys listened. I was all over that case, man. And listening to the body cam footage, it was amazing how people will try to justify their screw ups, right? Like, you clearly messed up. And it was, oh my God. Like, Greg McMichael, the father, is like, oh, the cops, getting a statement, right? And he's in that statement, he's giving his account of the story, but he says, yeah, and I was in the back of the truck, and I had my 357. And then he pauses and says, it's old Glenn County police issue, by the way. Yeah, you're like, oh, now you're trying to make buddy. Like, he just, like, why is that relevant? But he just paused. He had to let the cop know that. And then he continues on with his story. Then he says, hey, my time in the prosecutor's office, and we see this stuff all the time, and blah, 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 blah. While he's literally standing there with Arbery's blood literally all over his hands. And he's just trying to tell the cop, I'm a cop. And the cop's like, yeah, but you're not now. And you can like, I don't care. Like, that's why the responding officers wanted to arrest them. Like, you guys are overstepping your boundaries. And here's my thing. We can argue and fight all day, but I think one thing that we all agree on that we hate is taxes, right? So it's like, you pay your tax dollars. You pay them. If something is going so wrong that your life is not in immediate danger, guess what, man? Put your tax dollars to work. Put your tax dollars to work. That's what they're there for. Put them to work. 911, this is what I got. And put that ownership on the police officers responding on how to handle it, remove yourself from the situation, or you're going to wind up potentially in a bad spot. And that's exactly what they did. And
You know,
is don't
it's
do it.
so, and obviously I would like to move on and do some, talk about some fun gun stuff here. But there was something I think that came up in the gun world. Was it last year or something like that, where people were talking about someone breaking into your home, just trying to steal stuff, and whether or not you could kill them. This is oversimplifying this, and I think there's a big difference between you're in your home and someone is breaking into your home. You don't know what they're trying to do. You need to defend yourself. In that case, you have no right to break into people's homes, right? So people are
Nope.
in their homes. You're breaking into their homes is very much different from you're coming home and you see someone like leaving your home with your TV and they're running away from you. Okay? If you think that you could just gun that person down as they're running away from your home with your TV, you're I don't know what world you're living in, right?
Yeah.
These are completely different scenarios, but there's a lot of bravado that folks get caught up in out there, that they're like, yeah, I'll just shoot him down and then drag him back to the house and do this and do that. That sounds awesome until you actually meet the reality of the world that we live in.
And you know
It's
what, man?
completely different things.
And I just want this last statement. I know we got to talk about gun stuff, but here's my thing. Realistically, is it really that awesome? Is it awesome to have to kill people?
No, man, I
You know
don't
what I
want to do
mean?
that.
And I'm not
I
saying
didn't
you
do
were
this
saying
to
that,
do
but for
that.
the people that have that mentality,
Mm-hmm.
that is not awesome. Guns are not, in defense scenarios, guns are not pleasant. They're appreciated,
Mm-hmm.
but the exchange of gunfire and having guns pointed at people, that is not like Disneyland. Like, if you, the thing I see the most, it's the people that are, and you're blessed, and that's what I want people to understand. If you've never had to deploy or press a trigger or even just present a gun in self-defense, you are a blessed individual. I wish I could be you.
Mm-hmm.
I really do, because it is not as sexy and as exhilarating as you might think it is, especially when you have all these consequences potentially attached to it.
Yeah.
It's just not. So
The cool
don't
thing
go out fantasizing about this stuff.
The cool thing about guns are the design, the engineering, how it looks, the history, the technology. That's the cool thing about it, not taking people out. Brian Quick says, do you think if Armory got a hold of the shotgun, he would have shot T. McMichael? That's let's let Sean go first here, and then we'll get Kevin to answer that. Just that particular question there. Mm-hmm. Oh, did Sean freeze? Okay, we'll probably
See, he froze.
Yeah, right.
That means his response is going to be bullshit.
Oh, now he's back. Go ahead, Sean. You're back now. You're back. Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You can launch hypotheticals all day. I think the one thing that I would really like to say is that I wish that training and instruction in handling of firearms, and especially in self-defense issues, were more akin to martial arts, which typically preach avoidance first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Avoid it at all costs, and then ultimately, if you have, Kevin, no other choice, then you can move to the things that you've been taught how to do. But unfortunately, there is, I think, to some degree, whether it's popularized media or just a mindset that is not strictly American. If we meet a certain set of scenarios and I have a gun, I can legally blow your ass away. And unfortunately, I think there's a percentage of the population that is fully in agreement with that's how things are, and it doesn't need to be that way. You have to think further ahead. Being responsible for someone's life. I don't ever want to take someone's life. If I have to, I will, in defense of my life or the life of the people that I love and care for. Sure. But that's not my goal. I don't buy guns. I don't train with guns. I don't shoot guns so that some ultimate scenario might happen. If it does, I'll be prepared for it, but I don't want that to ever happen. And I take steps, all the steps that I can, to avoid that situation. So, with with the shotgun question, man, I don't know that I'm prepared to answer something like that. It's pretty hypothetical.
Yeah. What do you think, Kevin?
I'm with Sean, man. I have no idea. All I know is if he would have gotten a hold of the gun, the only thing I do know for certain is there was already another gun at play. So then that situation could have went, because remember there was a 357 Magnum in Dad's hand in the back of the truck, right? So I have no idea. But then that whole situation could have been, and now what we're looking at is potentially, which obviously somebody did get shot, but then we could potentially be looking at this scenario where you got gunfire exchange in a residential area in the middle of a street. Like, so
Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is it definitely would have escalated to a different scenario. How that plays out, I have no idea, but I don't know the answer to it.
Yeah, and what I would say to that, like in the thing with hypotheticals is what side of that equation are you putting yourself on? Are you putting yourself only on one side of that equation, or are you truly putting yourself on both sides of that equation? And what I mean by that is even if we say like, okay, this person was robbing someplace. Okay, if you are casing a place or you plan on robbing it and some folks come by there and they see you and you're running away and they chase you, okay, and they have guns and they catch up to you, are you going to stand there and let these people shoot you, or are you gonna get into a struggle with them trying to get your hands on that gun if you don't have one? Just ask yourself that question. What are you gonna do? You know.
Let's be clear about one thing, though, Hank. You're saying rob, and excuse me for the legal definitions that I'm used to, but rob involves a person, a physical victim who is currently having something taken from them.
Okay. So let's say you were stealing. So stealing is the better.
Burglarizing, burgling, however you want to define it. Yeah, that's different. That is a property crime, and it does not typically involve a home unless or a person unless it's an occupied home.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make to you is if you're running and someone's chasing you and they catch up to you and they have a gun and you're close to them, what's going to happen with you, for regardless of what the reason is, right? And what I mean by that, I think it's reasonable for someone who's being chased by some guys, like you're on foot, these guys are in a vehicle, they're chasing you, they catch up to you, they have a gun, they're not standing off and going, hey, stop right there, I'm going to shoot you. They're close enough to you, like, oh shit, aren't you gonna, what's your reaction gonna be? Are you gonna try to grab that thing or whatever? Once we get into that kind of stuff, it's like you really have to think about that situation three-dimensionally. You know, these people have the drop on you and they're close enough to you. This is the reason why people need to stay away from each other. If I'm armed and you're not armed, I don't want to be in your face. I don't want to be close to you. Okay, I want you to be a reasonable distance. I don't want you to get to me real fast. I don't want you to be able to grab me. None of that kind of stuff. So I think once people are really close, anything could happen. That's the problem. That's the issue. That's what we're facing. So, and I know, like, I get it. Everyone's on different sides of this, and people are trying to. People have things that they're trying to prove based on their side that they're on. And I think that I understand that. I really don't think there's a comparison between these two cases. People were asking us before the Rittenhouse verdict came through and this verdict came through to say what we think about it. And I was saying what a lot of people think. I mean, I've seen Mac from Military Arms Channel say the same thing we're saying right now. About the Armory case and about the Rittenhouse case. I think ultimately, if you're in your rational mind and you're on the outside of it looking at it, this one thing. And if you're inside of that situation and it's happening, it's a completely different thing. And that's where it comes to you being the one who remains calm. Like, I try in my life when other people are... It happens with me and Lola. If Lola gets mad and she's cursing and carrying on, I try to go the opposite direction.
Lola?
Yeah. If Lola's cursing... If she's cursing, she's really mad. So typically,
Lola is an angel, and every argument is your fault.
There you go.
Oh, okay. That's what I try to default to. But you understand what I'm saying? Once you lose that, you're in trouble.
The thing is that you need to be able to a reasonable person, right? And a reasonable person is going to be 13 people on your jury. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to show to them definitively all the steps that you took to try to avoid that situation.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of scenarios, you were absolutely justified and probably legally so to take certain actions. But your chances of getting through that are going to be so much better if you took several steps to try to avoid it altogether in the first place. Now, Rittenhouse, like you guys said earlier, sure. Could he secretly be thinking, yeah, I gassed a few people, cool, I got away with it? That's possible, but let me tell you, from a person who has prosecuted several felony cases, it's not likely. I worked sex crimes for about 5 years and chased after guys who did some pretty bad stuff. And the toll that we took on them when we prosecuted them over the course of a year or two, or sometimes even 3, it's rough, man. Even if you got away with it, right? Even if you got a not guilty, it's tough. And I doubt anyone who, given the chance to go back to that very same set of circumstances, would change everything. Wouldn't have gone there, wouldn't have had that gun with them, would have rewritten everything, because the stress that they lived through, knowing that the full weight of the state is coming after them, that's real, man. That's real, and there's a cost to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go on to some cool gun stuff. Who thinks they have the coolest thing? Who wants to go?
Oh man, so I'm gonna go out with the
Sean's
Walther.
right on it.
And the Walther PDP, and this is the thing that I love, the grip right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That curve, and there's, if you see, they're not really finger grooves, but there's some very vague wells that are kind of formed there.
Mm-hmm.
And it also fills the palm really nicely. There's no slide bite here either. The way the beaver tail comes over the back of it, it's just outstanding. Mm-hmm. And probably one of the best triggers that I've had on a striker fired gun ever.
Okay. Are you typically a trigger snob? Do you always change in your triggers on stuff? Okay, I know Kevin's got something coming up right after this.
Not on a pistol. Mm-hmm. And that was a lot to do with duty use. That same argument that we talked about before of if you tinkered with your weapon, you were intending to kill my client at some point. Mm-hmm. That's not really a myth, but it's something very nice, man. It's something that comes up in law enforcement circles, and especially in use of force scenarios, where you might run into a scenario where if you have altered your firearm from stock, your intention was ultimately to kill someone, which on one hand is kind of asinine, because that's kind of, there we go.
Boy.
All the red dots. All the red dots.
You know what's crazy? Like Kevin Dixie, all his stuff is coordinated.
Yeah. Not a hammer anywhere to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. Yeah, he's got red dots on everything. Is everything painted? Is all that stuff painted? Let me see.
No, only one of them is. Only my my HK here. Only that one. Everything else is stock. So
is that the truth? Is that a truth right there?
Well, this is the truth frame. Let me grab this thing better. This is the truth frame.
Okay.
All right. So this is the frame of the truth. This is the BP9L slide, though.
Okay.
So that's the BP9L slide. Then that's the Hollison 509 T sitting on top of it. That's a red dot version. And then this guy is the this is the SIG 320X5 where I am. There I am. I just got my sight pusher tool, so I'm gonna put that dovetail front sight in.
Bruce Man says Kevin wins. Kevin wins.
And then this is the new 508 ACSS from Hollison and Primary Arms. So this is a really cool optic thus far. I can't wait to really get out and do more playing with it. From alternative shooting position, this thing is probably going to be a gem. And even target confirmation, I think this is going to kind of change the game a little bit. But I got to play with it more before I stand on it.
Is that an improved trigger on there? Is that the trigger that came with that?
No, that's the stock trigger.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have the good old Glock 17.
So what was that, Sean?
17.
What was that, Sean?
That's the Legion, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Legion. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need an improved trigger on a Legion.
No.
No sir, not at all.
Hmm.
And this is my stock Glock. It just has this one has the 508 RDX2 on it from Allison. This is the one I just ran through Glock's MOS operator class for two
Cool.
days.
Hmm.
Really, really good gun. And I got a stock Glock trigger in this thing, and it's going to remain that way.
Hmm.
It's fine. I tell people all the time with handguns, man, like, yeah, can it make a difference? Yeah, sure. But you know what? You can run a stock gun, man. If you can run a gun, you can run a stock gun.
Hmm.
And then there's this little guy. This is the Canic Elite SC, and this one has the 407K on it. So if you can't tell, I'm really into my red dot phase right now. But
Hmm.
this is good. The 407 I think is perfect for this size gun. But once again, this is a Canic stock trigger. I try to keep my handguns. Besides the Lobos trigger, I put into my HKs just because I
Hmm.
like the Lobos aluminum trigger a little bit better. But it really doesn't change the break. I think it goes from 4.5 down to like 4.1. It's just a smoother trigger, and I like it better. But it really doesn't change the poundage. That kind of stuff, to Sean's point, it might get you some interesting conversations later on if you use it in the
Yeah.
wrong way. You know what I mean? So,
So
but yeah, I wanted to go ahead.
everyone's showing handguns. I did show my PPS M2 earlier, which I got right there. But check this out right here, man. Yeah.
Oh.
This is a
Is that the
FN 57. Yeah, this is a
Ah,
FN
that's 5.7.
57
There you go.
pistol right there in FDE. Very nice. Now this is like plastic fantastic right there to me. Like,
Yep.
the top of the plastic fantastic line. So yeah. I just got this, by the way. Got this from Brownells.
I like that.
I gotta get it. Yeah, I've had one in the. I've shot a bunch of them. I've had one in the past, and then I sold mine that I had a while back so I can get other stuff, and I really regretted it. So, yeah, man. If you've ever shot the 5.7, and I know I have shot the Ruger 5.7, and it's cool and all that, but I still think the FN 5.7 pistol is the bomb.
Yeah.
It's the bomb.
It's funny you bring that up because there's an FN Glock tie-in that I have here. I'm reviewing right now the FN 502 Tactical, and that is a 22 caliber gun that has all the bells and whistles. Right, you can we have a tactical light on it. We have a red dot, and it's got a 15-round magazine. I was in Smyrna at Glock for the Glock 44 release, and they shot the heck out of those guns. And I was thinking, did they miss the boat on going with a red dot on this thing, because they'd already had the MOS line out for a while.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be a version. I'm sure at some point a version is.
So, yeah, they kind of run the Apple approach, right? Like, you need this new version, right? We got an upgrade for you.
Yeah, we're going to see that.
Here's what I learned, right? Running the 502, I've been shooting the heck out of it, man. We've got 100 rounds through it now. And the thing that I'm finding is that because it's 22, when I get out there and I let that thing go, pretty soon my red dot starts starring out because it's so dirty. Like the 22 caliber is just dirty, dirty, dirty. And especially if you run it suppressed, because it comes with a threaded barrel, you can do that. And man, it gets so filthy that, like, every couple magazines, I have to end up wiping the front of that red dot optic off so that I can get back in and enjoy that red dot again.
Yeah.
So
By the way,
that's why Glock didn't do that.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going to throw this up there. Just a little picture right here that I took
I'll check that out.
of plastic fantastic.
Got
right
the Lego
here.
technical going too with the
Yeah.
Rubicon.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. I love Legos, man. I'm a big kid. I'm a Lego fan. So I'm going to post this picture. That's not even like posted yet. I'm going to throw that up there. Plastic fantastic. What else you got, Katie? Let's keep it going.
I want to give people this kind of going off what Sean said about optic getting dirty. I'm gonna give you a free training tip. You should totally come train at nootherchoice.com. All right, go sign up.
Of course.
However, if you're here's a little tip that I want to give everybody. Get the measurements. Did I freeze up? Yeah, there.
No, you're good.
Get the measurements. Kind of get the measurements of your optic, and I mean like the housing of it. Get the measurements so you understand where the middle is. And in case your optic ever fails, and you let's just say you don't have your irons co-witness, but if your window is blocked, irons won't do you any good anyway. Let's just say the rear of your window is blocked. This thing is just totally caked. You can't see the dot. You can't see out of it. You can't see your irons. Go ahead and take a white marker when you know where the middle is, and make a mark on the side, a mark on the top, and a mark on the opposite side, right? And make sure it comes down along the rear of the housing, right? Make sure it comes down here where the mark's at, for you can see it on all sides. So if you have to, you can still use your actual optic as an aiming device.
Okay.
Right? So you can actually put your own drawings on here. So if that thing, to Sean's point, ever really where it's just, you can't use it, you can use the optic itself to still kind of dial in and get, hopefully man-sized targets. If you've been practicing from a decent distance, you can still get hits on target and get that threat stopped.
Yep.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, that's
that's part of curriculum in a lot of the red dot training that I've done too.
Mm-hmm. What else do you guys have over there? Do we have any other things coming out?
I got the best gun on the planet.
What is that?
I think it's my favorite little gun right now. I'm telling you, man,
no.
I'm in love with this thing.
Oh boy.
I'm telling you, I am really in love with this thing. And it's this little guy, man. The little Glock 42. I love this little thing.
Yeah, I can't knock the Glock 42.
Love this little gun. I do. I'm not a big 43 fan. I like the 43X, but I'm not a big 43 fan. And I got this gun for my wife, and she loves it. And for some reason, I won't let her carry it because I always have it. But I like this little gun.
Mm-hmm. Brother, I don't leave the house without that. That's so funny.
No. Yeah, Glock 42 changed the world. I remember the SHOT Show where they introduced the Glock 42, and I went to Media Day, and Gunny was there. I remember Gunny worked for Glock.
Armory.
Yeah, Armory. And Gunny was asked, we were talking to him, and he was like, "Oh, did you try the Glock 42, the 380?" And I was like, no, I don't really want 380. And honestly, 380 plastic guns were not that accurate, right? It was a great pocket gun, but it wasn't that accurate. If you're really trying to shoot at something, it was more of a close-up thing. And I was like, nah, I don't think I want to do it. And he said, listen, go try it out on the range for me, and then come back and let me know honestly what you think about it. I went and shot it. I thought it was fantastic, man. And I bought one when we got back off of that, you know? And I had it until the 43 came out. So, I mean, that's the first polymer 380 that I was like, oh, this can actually work.
Right.
You can actually aim at something with that. So yeah, it's a fantastic gun. I can't knock it at all.
And okay, this little guy probably being realistic, I probably would say this little guy, for this little size gun, probably has 1,300 rounds through it in the last few years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little champ, man. It's just a little champ. I really like it.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm going to pull some other stuff out. I got, it's a BRN 180 right here. I got this. Lower.
Oh, there you go.
Do you guys build up lowers?
Absolutely.
I need to build something out of this. I don't know.
I got the Barnauls D10 pin installation tool in today. And I was so tickled about that because I recently, I get a lot of stuff in for PP Tactical test out, and a lot of them are components for ARs. So I have a lower that I recently built just to kind of Franken rifle it, right? Where I can end this gas system or this charging handle or this bolt carrier group so I can take them out and test them out and see how they go. But man, having that D10 spring installation tool, that helped me out so much. It really keeps me from losing D10.
By the way, I forgot to mention this yesterday. I've got a series of videos up on the PSA, Palmetto State Armory blog. If you go to PSA, you go to the website, go down to the blog. There's a bunch of videos on how to build a lower, how to do stuff on your upper, sighting in, all that kind of stuff. And I think the whole series is up right now. You guys should go check this out. Check it out. Look, High Point box right here, man. High Point box.
There you go.
This, so this is a gun that we're actually giving away, by the way. So High Point sent this to us so we can give it away. And it is a High Point carbine in 45.
Oh, man.
And before the end of the year, we're going to be giving this gun away. So, You guys need to get ready for that. And when we give it away, we're actually, and I believe this is threaded. Yep, it's threaded. We're gonna give away a suppressor on this thing too. With this,
Can you just give it to me and be done?
no, no.
Well, damn.
No,
Oh,
but
shit. That's all right.
I mean, you could be in
It's
the
gonna be
running.
like that, huh?
You could be you could be in the running with everyone else. We're gonna pick someone. We're gonna give it away on Utreon live in December. It's gonna happen. I'm putting some details together, but Liberty Suppressors has a 45 suppressor for this. I think they called it like the Yeet suppressor or something like that.
Okay.
And we're gonna give this away. So yeah. That's coming, and I never even opened this box before. So that's something that we're going to be giving away here that I've got. And I think that's... Oh, you know what? I got one more gun here. I knew Kevin Dixie was going to bring a lot of guns. I showed this... Last night we were talking about amateur radio, two-way radios and stuff like that. We had on Ham Radio 2.0 and the guys from Gigaparts, and I showed this a little bit, but I couldn't show it as much as I wanted to. Keltec
Yeah.
SU16 right there.
Very
So
nice.
so 5.56 folding. You could shoot it folded. Actually, if you fold it up like hold on, let me see. I got to remember how to fold this thing. Okay, here we go. There we go. So if you fold it like this, you can actually put the magazine and it could go through the stock and you could shoot it folded. And this is actually piston. Side charging piston right there. You know. I think I've said this before. My only problem with this, if you put an optic on here and you tighten it, it actually interrupts the piston in this. Believe it or not. So
Oh,
Well, that's not okay.
that's not good. So just go. You're gonna have to go with the iron sights if you're using one of these. That's my personal. That's what I found out from you. So I've been telling people that for a long time. We actually found that out the hard way. Like every time we put it up. And I didn't realize what it was. We kept sending it back to Caltech, and they're like, "Oh, the gun's fine," but we took the optic off, and then we would put the optic back on, and we would have the problem. And finally, they were like, "Oh, yeah, if you put an optic on here and you lock it in tight, it interrupts that piston going through that part of it." But other than that, this is a good lightweight 5.56 gun that you could fold and throw under a seat or something like that.
I'm sorry. There is no other than that. If I can't put a dot on my gun, I don't want the gun.
I knew that
Like,
was
I'm
coming.
sorry. Like, I'm not trying. I'm being honest. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a carbine.
Mm-hmm.
I want to put a dot on it.
I'm with you. I'm
Like,
with you. Yeah, you know. I mean, iron
okay.
sights are good. Iron sights are good though. You can
Yeah,
go with
they're
iron sights.
good, but if that in the way that that's configured, that could be something you can tote around with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you get up under high stress, I mean, and with that, I'm pretty sure you can reach out easily to 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying you would ever be in an active situation
Mm-hmm.
where you need to defend
Yeah.
yourself at 100 yards, but
Yeah.
still, you can't
I
put
mean,
an
I think
optic on.
irons are still good at 100 yards. But yes, I think it is a problem that if you put an optic on there and you tighten it, like what they should do, instead of this part being polymer right here, that should be metal. Right? That should be metal there. But, the way they built this gun and the molding and all that, I guess they're not doing it. So, listen, we could have this argument for a whole other show talking about Caltech. That's one of the drawbacks of, Caltech stuff. There's always some little thing like that if you do it, you're going to have some issues. So, trust me, I've got years of experience with it. So, you know. Now, what do you guys have anything else?
No, I think Sean's froze.
Is Sean frozen again?
Yep.
Yes, he looks frozen. I just realized that. He gets caught in the funniest like frozen positions I've ever
Frozen
seen.
front. Yeah, man.
Yeah. we're probably gonna get him back here in a second. I know we're over the 9 o'clock hour, and I know everyone has things to do. So while we're waiting for Sean to come back in here with us, Kevin, tell the folks out there how they can support you, where they can find you on social media, like what training and stuff like that you have coming up.
Sure. You can. The best way to keep up. Am I froze now? Okay.
No,
Yeah.
you're
There
good.
we go.
You're good.
The best way to keep up is two ways actually. The Real NOC on all your social media platforms. The
Mm-hmm.
Real NOC across the board. Please find us on your favorite platform. I'll be open and honest and tell you we're going to become very active on all platforms at the turn of the year. But we're always probably going to be the most active on Instagram. So keep up with that. We are going to start filming actually next week, the new podcast, Stogies and Straps. So we have a couple of guests coming in town. We're going to start getting that podcast up and rolling. We're probably going to release that right after Christmas. Give you something to watch over the wintertime. People got a few days off. Give you some interesting content. It's going to be gun stuff, political stuff. Like the first guest we have was a clinical therapist. We also have a law enforcement officer coming on. So we're going to talk about a lot of cool stuff. And I said nootherchoice.com. Please go over to the website, sign up for training. If you're in the Atlanta area or can get to the Atlanta area on December 11th, we're actually having a BOGO for Christmas. So for our Evolve One pistol class, is buy one, get one. Okay. So you get to buy one, buy one and bring a guest of your choosing to the class and come out and enjoy with us in the Atlanta area. That's going to be on December 11th. You can find that class at nootherchoice.com. Just sign up and bring somebody with you. That's all you got to do. Is no tricks, no nothing to it. And besides that, I will be taking a little R&R here starting tomorrow. I'm going to actually head down to Tampa. It's a cigar festival going down there, the Heritage Cigar Festival. So I'm going to fly down to Tampa and hang out with some.
Somebody send out an alert.
I'm going to go hang out.
Dixie Maximus is going to be in Tampa.
Yeah. This is trouble. Head down to Tampa for a couple of days, relax myself, man, kick it, hang around some cigar people and pick up some knowledge. And just like I do with guns, I'm going to go down there and pick up some knowledge with the Stogies and hang out with some friends for a couple of days and come back home and get that podcast cranking. So that's what's going on. And you can watch Instagram lives. We do have badges going up there. I've been trying to get a lot of fundraising going for the new mission we have next year to expand community and expand freedom. So I'm basically aiming for the truth and firearms in a very unique way, but we need the public support, and I just need you to trust me. So watch the live videos. You can get badges, and you can also go to GoFundMe.com/aiming for the truth and help us out with that if you are about expanding the Second Amendment and doing something different to help people understand freedom. So
awesome. A couple of things there I want to say. I think you're signing up with Utreon. I don't know if everything's worked out. Once you get everything worked out, when we go live like this, I can actually, if people give up money and stuff like that, there's a collaboration thing you could do now where I could set a percentage and you'll get a percentage of that or whatever. So, they're doing that so people collaborate and do this kind of stuff. The other thing I was going to say is if you're going to be in the Tampa area, I'm not sure if Walter's going to be there at Safety Harbor Firearms, but they're in that Tampa Clearwater area. So, we'll look into that. LV Louis Cypher says Kel-Tec is notorious for stupid polymer parts. I can't argue that at all. So there you go. And Night Train says they have a high point carbine in 40. So there you go, in 40. Let's go to Sean here. Where can people find you? Social media? How do they support you? Contact you? All that kind of stuff, Sean.
Well, not that they would want to, but if they were so inclined, they could go to pewpewtactical.com. Mm-hmm. Right now, my main role there is business development, but because of my previous history, I'm still creating content. My buddy Jackie Billings, our amazing editor, and I recently tag teamed on a shoe review. And I know that's probably not the most exciting thing that you might think about, but we were covering brands like 511, Victos, and Altamas. And we had a blast doing it. And it's kind of cool because it's an alternative for people who are into guns, but maybe you're shopping for that person and you're not going to necessarily spend that money for a gun. Here's some recommendations on some shoes that you can go and check out that are applicable to people in that world, in that space, and it's a good time. Also, you can check
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. And I think there's lots of like sneakers and guns and stuff. We had Devin of Trenchwork on, and he was talking about that. So I like that kind of stuff. Go on.
It's a really cool crossover. Mm-hmm. People like good stuff. Right? Mm-hmm. So, you can also catch us on YouTube. We have a lot of videos there. I have had some pretty interesting adventures since I came on board at Pew Pew Tactical. I've been to Moab. I went jeeping with Wheeler, and they have a pretty cool release on some tools called the Fat Sticks that are coming out. I was in, we already talked about Gunsight. I was there for Crimson Trace and their big release on the RAD, which is their rapid aiming dot. Went on a hunting trip recently, got my first buck out in Minnesota with USCCA. safe.
That's awesome. Congratulations, man. Kevin and
Thank
I
you.
went
Yeah.
hunting for the first time. Like, what was that? A couple months ago, Kev?
Yeah, up in with Brownells. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
kind of cool, man. I like
Yeah.
ripping the heads off those pheasants. That was kind of cool. I want to go do that again.
Yeah, but
It's
you
kind
haven't
of, kind
done
of
you
cool.
yeah, you haven't got a buck or anything like that yet, so
No,
that's awesome. You
I've
gotta
been
hunt.
hunting twice. And the first time I went hunting, my buddy that took me said he'll never take me again. We went hog hunting. He said I talk too much. I was bored. I want to, I want to talk.
Yeah.
And the second time I went to go hog hunting. We didn't see anything. But I just got an invite 2 days ago from a Iraq veteran. He wants me to
Oh,
come down
cool.
and do some deer hunting with him. So I'm
Oh,
gonna
take that up. Yeah. That's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go load up probably right before I take family vacation and go with Eric and see
Hmm.
if I can catch my first decent sized game.
Yeah, awesome. I look forward to seeing that. Did you post that, Sean? The buck that you
No,
that's
all of those things are coming out. In fact, probably around Christmas. I also did a tour of Remington, and that was great. That video is coming out. The Crimson Trace is already up on YouTube, but the Wheeler and Moab event is going to be coming up a little bit later on. So
hmm
just follow on Instagram, check the website for reviews,
hmm
and I have an article kind of explaining my first hunt and everything that it was and everything that it wasn't. I know a lot of folks have a heck of a time going out there working hard trying to catch some game, and they get skunked, and that's part of the process. But my situation was a lot more in my favor, and I'm not going to complain about that. But I recognize the opportunity that it was, and I thank USCCA for that. So yeah,
Awesome.
just check pewpewtactical.com and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I'm gonna a couple of things. We're gonna run in the end, and we're gonna come back. One of you guys is gonna drop words of wisdom. Who is it? Who's gonna do it?
Sean,
Got you.
Okay, you
oh,
they
I'll
put.
do it. Fine.
Okay, yeah, Kevin Dixie, you do it. And also like yeah, we're gonna give away this carbine. I've got some Tusk. We're talking about Tusk. I have some Tusk 80% lowers that I have to give away. There's a whole bunch of stuff we have to give away before we end the year. So we're gonna kind of like cut down the shows as we're coming towards the end of the year, but we're gonna be giving away some cool stuff, which we're gonna do here live on Utreon. Big thanks to Tusk. I'm gonna run in the end now and come back, and Kevin Dixie has been elected to give us the words of wisdom. Let me run the end in right now. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us, hanging out with us here. It was a great show. I hope you guys have a great, fun weekend. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. And Kevin Dixie, what are your words of wisdom, sir?
As responsible gun owners and decent human beings, remember that we are walking around with the power of life and death on our waistbands, on our ankles, or maybe even strapped to our backs. Recognize that ability. Do everything you can not to use that tool or any other tool that can cause hurt, harm, and danger to a human being. Truly be at a point of no other choice. Remember that our responsibility is not just to fight for the Second Amendment, but we are out there to preserve human life. Please do that at every chance you get. Be patient, be poised, look to save life, never to eliminate it. Stay a good person of character, be calm, be patient, but yet be vigilant, but be good. And remember, we're trying to leave the earth in a better condition than we found it. And so walk around with that attitude, and hopefully that helps you out in your decision-making process.
Amen. Well said. Well said. I appreciate that. I appreciate both of these guys. Kevin Dixie, no other choice. Make sure you guys check him out and support him as much as you possibly can. He's doing a lot of big things. As well as my friend Sean Curtis of Pew Pew Tactical. Make sure you guys go there, support those guys. You know a dude over there now. We got Sean Curtis is over there. So make sure he's probably the old dude over there, Kevin. But
Yep.
that's all right though. That's all right, though. We appreciate him over there. Yeah. We'll see you guys. We're out of here. You guys stay right there. We're out. We'll see you all. Peace.
Peace.
Oh, wait. Hold on a second. Hold on. No. I got to hit the right button. Hold on. I got to hit the button here first. See, this is the thing. I got to remember to do that. Okay, hit the button there. End it, and then hit the button here.